Have you ever wondered about the story of China, a civilization that has shaped our world for thousands of years? It's a tale of epic dynasties, brilliant inventions, and incredible resilience. So grab your tea, get comfy, and let's travel back in time to uncover the history of China together. Our story begins way back along the fertile banks of the Yellow and Yangtze rivers. This is where early Chinese civilization first took root, much like ancient Egypt with the Nile or Mesopotamia with the Tigris and Euphrates. The legendary Xia dynasty is often mentioned as the first, but the first one we have solid archaeological evidence for is the Shang dynasty, which emerged around 1600 BC. The Shang were incredible bronze workers. The intricate designs on their ritual vessels are just mind-blowing. They also gave us the earliest form of Chinese writing, etched onto oracle bones, turtle shells, and animal bones used for predicting the future. Imagine asking a turtle shell if you'll pass your exam. Following the Shang came the Zhou dynasty. This was the longest-lasting dynasty in Chinese history, ruling for almost 800 years. The Zhou introduced a crucial concept, the mandate of heaven. This was the idea that a ruler's right to rule was granted by the heavens, but only if they were just and fair. If a ruler became corrupt or incompetent, natural disasters and rebellions would signal that they had lost the mandate, and it was time for a new dynasty. This idea would shape Chinese politics for centuries. The later part of the Zhou dynasty, however, was a bit chaotic. It's known as the Spring and Autumn and Warring States periods. The central power of the Zhou kings weakened, and China split into numerous small states, all fighting each other for control. It was a time of constant warfare, but paradoxically, it was also one of the most intellectually vibrant periods in Chinese history. This era is called the 100 Schools of Thought. Thinkers and philosophers traveled from state to state, advising rulers and debating the best way to govern and live. This is when some of the most influential figures in Chinese history appeared. You've probably heard of Confucius. His teachings, known as Confucianism, emphasized morality, family loyalty, social harmony, and respect for elders and authority. He believed that if everyone knew their role and acted virtuously, society would be orderly and peaceful. Then there was Laozi, the founder of Taoism, who taught about living in harmony with the Tao, or the way, the natural flow of the universe. Taoism encouraged simplicity, humility, and going with the flow. These philosophies, along with others like legalism, which advocated for strict laws and harsh punishments, would deeply influence Chinese culture and governance for millennia. All this chaos of the Warring States period finally came to an end in 221 BC. The state of Qin, led by a ruthless and ambitious ruler, conquered all its rivals and unified China for the first time. The ruler, Ying Zhang, gave himself a new title, Qin Shi Huang, meaning the first emperor of Qin. He was a monumental figure, for better or worse. He standardized everything, writing, currency, weights and measures, and even the width of cart axles to create a unified road system. He connected existing walls to create the first version of the Great Wall of China, not to keep out mythical creatures, but to defend against nomadic tribes from the north. But Qin Shi Huang was also a tyrant. He ruled with an iron fist, following the strict philosophy of legalism. He famously ordered the burning of books and the execution of scholars to silence opposition. And his obsession with immortality led him to build a massive, magnificent tomb for himself, guarded by the now world-famous terracotta army, thousands of life-size clay soldiers, each with a unique face, ready to protect him in the afterlife. The Qin dynasty was powerful, but its harshness made it short-lived. It collapsed just a few years after the first emperor's death. Out of the ashes of the Qin rose the Han dynasty, which is often considered a golden age in Chinese history. The Han dynasty lasted for over 400 years and established a cultural and political foundation that would last for 2 millennia. In fact, the majority ethnic group in China today still calls themselves the Han people. The Han rulers softened the harsh policies of the Qin and adopted Confucianism as the official state ideology. They established a complex bureaucracy where officials were selected based on their merit and knowledge of Confucian classics, a precursor to the civil service examination system. The Han Dynasty was also a time of great prosperity and technological innovation. They invented paper, a game changer for record keeping and education. They developed the seismograph to detect earthquakes and made significant advances in medicine, astronomy, and agriculture. And let's not forget the Silk Road. This legendary network of trade routes opened up during the Han Dynasty, connecting China with Central Asia, India, the Middle East, and even the Roman Empire. Silk, spices, and other goods traveled west, while ideas, religions like Buddhism, and new products flowed into China. After the Han Dynasty collapsed, China entered another period of division that lasted for nearly 400 years. But China has a knack for pulling itself back together. It was reunified by the short-lived Sui Dynasty, which completed the Grand Canal, an incredible engineering feat that linked the northern and southern parts of China, boosting trade and communication. Following the Sui came another glorious golden age, the Tang Dynasty. The Tang is often celebrated as the high point of Chinese civilization. Its capital, Chang'an, now modern-day Xi'an, was the most populous and cosmopolitan city in the world. People from all over Asia and beyond came to trade, study, and live there. Art, poetry, and culture flourished. This was the era of the great poets Li Bai and Du Fu, whose works are still read and loved today. The Tang Dynasty was open, confident, and influential, spreading its culture throughout East Asia. It was also the only time in Chinese history when a woman, Empress Wu Zichen, officially ruled as emperor. But like all dynasties, the Tang eventually declined. It was followed by the Song Dynasty, another culturally and economically brilliant era. While militarily weaker than the Tang, the Song Dynasty saw a boom in commerce and technology. This is when movable type printing was invented, long before Gutenberg in Europe. Gunpowder, which was discovered earlier, was first used in warfare. The magnetic compass was perfected, revolutionizing navigation. Cities grew, a wealthy merchant class emerged, and the economy was arguably the most advanced in the world at the time. Then came a dramatic turn of events. From the northern steppes, the Mongols, led by the legendary Genghis Khan, swept across Asia. His grandson, Kublai Khan, eventually conquered all of China and established the Yuan dynasty. For the first time, China was ruled by a foreign people. Kublai Khan moved the capital to what is now Beijing and tried to rule this vast empire. It was during this time that the Venetian merchant Marco Polo supposedly visited China and was amazed by its wealth and sophistication, sharing incredible stories when he returned to Europe. The Mongol rule, however, didn't last forever. After about a century, a peasant rebellion drove them out, and the Ming dynasty was established. The Ming rulers sought to restore traditional Chinese rule and values. They strengthened and expanded the Great Wall to the form we see today. They built the magnificent Forbidden City in Beijing, the imperial palace for centuries. One of the most fascinating episodes of the Ming dynasty was the epic sea voyages led by the Admiral Zheng He. His treasure fleets, far larger and more advanced than anything in Europe at the time, sailed across the Indian Ocean, reaching as far as the east coast of Africa, decades before Columbus crossed the Atlantic. But after these voyages, the Ming emperors turned inward, restricting foreign trade and contact. The last imperial dynasty was the Qing, founded by another group from the north, the Manchus. The Qing dynasty oversaw a massive expansion of the empire, creating borders that are roughly similar to China's today. For a while, the Qing Empire was powerful and prosperous. But by the 19th century, it faced immense challenges from within and without. Internal corruption and massive rebellions weakened the state. At the same time, technologically superior Western powers were knocking on the door, demanding trade. This led to the Opium Wars, a series of humiliating defeats for China, and a period known as the Century of Humiliation, where foreign powers carved out spheres of influence and forced unequal treaties upon China. The pressure became too much. The old dynastic system, which had lasted for over 2,000 years, was crumbling. In 1912, a revolution led by figures like Sun Yat-sen overthrew the last emperor, and the Republic of China was founded. The dynastic cycle was finally broken. The 20th century was a turbulent time of warlords, civil war between the nationalists and the communists, and a brutal invasion by Japan during World War II. After the war, the Civil War resumed, ending in 1949 with the Communist Party, led by Mao Zedong, establishing the People's Republic of China on the mainland. The subsequent decades saw radical social and economic experiments, like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, which caused immense upheaval. After Mao's death, China embarked on a new path of economic reform and opening up to the world. In just a few decades, it has transformed itself from an impoverished agrarian society into a global economic powerhouse. From the oracle bones of the Shang dynasty to the bustling megacities of today, China's history is a vast and captivating saga of continuity and change, of brilliant achievements and profound struggles. It's a story that is still unfolding and continues to shape not just China, but the entire world. Understanding this long and complex history is key to understanding the world we live in today. Thank you so much for joining me on this whirlwind tour through thousands of years of Chinese history. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more deep dives into history, and let me know in the comments which part of Chinese history you'd like to learn more about next. Thanks for watching.